Hi, my name is Trudie Styler. I'm making my directorial debut here at the Berlinale in the Generation 14 Plus segment of the festival. My movie is called Freak Show, and it's about a genderqueer teen who transfers from a liberal environment in New York to a red state where he gets pretty bullied. And it's his story how he redresses his detractors by running for homecoming queen.
Billy.
Now, before you say anything, you said after school I could be me, and this is me.
You look awesome.
Seriously? 4 hours in hair and makeup. I've been preen, plucked, and bustier so tightly that my toes are turning blue, and awesome. No. I look Atlantic.
Okay, Atlantastic. Why'd you run away after class today?
I didn't run. I was chased.
You're making progress, right? I mean, you're not getting beamed in the head as much anymore.
Am I not? This is crazy. I'm compromising myself for reasons I don't even understand anymore. I need a drink.
Want me to hold your thing?
Shut up!
Hi, Trudie.
Hi.
Welcome to the Berlinale.
Thank
Really
you.
happy to have you here.
Thanks for inviting
You
me.
are here with the world premiere of your first directorial debut, feature film, Freak Show. The world premiere took place yesterday, and I've heard it was very warmly accepted and very well liked. So welcome. How did you enjoy last night?
Last night was a real revelation because it was really the first, I mean, it was the world premiere. It hadn't been seen by the public before. It's only had internal screenings during the making of it. And so to sit there with more than 1,000 people in the room who were really getting it and enjoying it and were laughing at the funny moments and were very moved clearly when bad things happened to our hero Billy. So I was very touched and very grateful.
Could you tell us a little bit what the story is about? Who is Billy, the main protagonist?
Billy is a genderqueer teen who transfers from a more liberal environment in New York to a red state school that is quite xenophobic and homophobic and very traditional conservative school where feminizing yourself is definitely not approved of, to the point where he's teased and then bullied and then beaten. And so the way that Billy thinks about things to redress the balance is he thinks it would be a great idea to set out to become the school's homecoming queen. And as you can feel that there's a great comedic element that runs through Freak Show, but at the same time it explores some very big themes. The biggest theme that runs through the movie is bullying. Mm-hmm. It's a movie about bullying, about a school that is not compassionate, not inclusive, and Billy's mission is to put that right.
Mm-hmm. But I understand it's not just comedy, but with every good movie, when there is comedy, there's also a little bit of tragedy happening. Maybe not in this film, but a little bit of drama.
Oh, there's tragedy. I describe it as hilarious and heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. So there's an accessibility, I suppose you might say, through the comedy of Freak Show, but the themes that it explores are by no means comedic. They are very big themes that we are struggling with, not only in our schools today, but within our countries, within the xenophobia that has sprung up, certainly in the United States of America, where I live. We're seeing it possibly going to arise in France, in Holland, in Russia, everywhere. We are regressing with intolerance, not progressing. And I think that movies that explore compassion and inclusiveness are very important for today.
I agree with you very much. Coming from Poland, where it took a right-wing lady. That's very close to my heart as well. But the film is being shown in the 14+ generation here at the Berlinale, but it's not just a film for teenagers, is it? Especially taking those themes that are so relevant.
The movie sets place in a high school, so I think in that way I was really happy that the film got into generation 14+. It was, if I could have closed my eyes and made a wish where I would see Freak Show after I'd made it, it would be at the Berlinale in this section. Because I do think in the end this is a message to schools and to teenagers. But you're right, it goes beyond, bullying goes beyond high schools. I think that it probably begins in childhood. Bullying is an ordinary evil. We see it every day in every environment that we live in, no matter what age. Being different, looking different. I was bullied as a child at school from having had a road accident and having livid scars on my face. So when I went to school, I looked a bit damaged. I was also an LD kid. I had dyslexia and ADHD. So anything that sets you apart from the pack in a school, you are ripe for bullying. And then that it can extend itself to the workplace and everywhere.
But Billy, he has another take on it. He decides to fight for his identity, and he refuses to wear blue jeans and melt in the crowd.
Billy is not a victim in any sense of the word, and I think that's why we, the audience, sort of feel for him and ultimately love him. Even when he's beaten up badly, the first thing he does is ask the doctor, could he have some lip gloss, please?
Brilliant. But the movie is an adaptation of a book by James and James. Actually, that's my question. Is it an adaptation, or how did the writing process?
So the movie is an adaptation, a loose adaptation from a book called Freak Show, written by James St. James, who ultimately became responsible for quite a famous movie in the 90s called Party Monster. And this was loosely based on his days in high school. And the book is set in Florida, and our story is set in a fictitious red state. We never say which city, which town, because I think to blame one and to exonerate another wouldn't be appropriate. And so we know that Billy has transferred from a liberal environment to a much more conservative one.
And was James and James in any way involved when you were working on developing the script for the movie?
Well, I wasn't originally going to be the director. I was going to produce it, and then our director had a conflict with another movie, and I asked the producers because I'd done a lot of work on Freak Show by then, I asked the producers if they would consider my directing it. And Drew Barrymore, who's one of our producers, was very encouraging about it, as were the other producers, and they said yes, yes, that they would be very happy for me to take it on.
Because you yourself are an actress as well.
Yeah.
How have you always been thinking about directing at some point, or was it because you just found yourself in this situation at that very moment that you had this idea that maybe this is the film for you, or have you been looking for a project that you could work on as a director?
Well, I think when you sort of like ask internally what is missing in your life, the universe opens up possibilities. And I've been an actor since I was 20, and I still act. I was in 2 television series this year. And I think directing, you're using the same part of your brain as you are as an actor. It's a sort of very creative, liquid sort of like area of the brain, whereas producing is you have a mission to accomplish, that is to look at the director's vision and help him or her express it. You have a budget, and you from conception to birth, you are there with that movie. We have a platform, my production partner and me, Celine Rattray at Maven Films, which is to give women more opportunity to act, produce and direct. There are 25% of women who produce and only 5% of women who direct. So I thought that I would set my hat out to be a director after all these years of acting and producing.
And how did that feel?
It felt really very peaceful. It's sort of like I got to a point in my life where I'd like to be able to do the things that I want to do. That I've done a lot of hand-holding as a producer. My first production company was called Shingu Films, and it was a platform to help first-time writer-directors to get onto the ladder of directing. So it was great to sort of like put myself with Celine and my producers helping me on the first rung of my own directorial ladder.
Well, I think it went really well, and I also have this sense of the current days where I feel that more and more women actually take things into their own hands, and they're slowly realizing that we can do the exact same things. We've been holding your hands, as you have said, for a long time, and we're totally capable of doing this as good as you are. Or even better.
I totally agree. I think that women are great multitaskers. We have to be, and the need to be not just more women producers and directors, but also more women's narrative, I believe, and also more LGBTQ narratives is very important. You know, this is a world that is a very diverse world. We don't want the world to become more polarized. We want it to become more diverse.
Which your movie clearly is trying to achieve. I think the main theme of bullying and the tolerance and inclusive the gender issues. That's new in the cinema today, especially in the context of teenagers and children. It's not been talked about as much as of adults dealing with those issues. So I think that's an interesting take on it. It's very new and fresh and much needed.
And much needed.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask you how you came across the Billy, the actor portraying Billy.
Well, whilst I was producing it, we met a lot of actors, about 100 young men to audition for Billy. We saw many, and there were a lot that were really good. But the role of Billy is not just a central performance, it is the movie. He's only not in 2 scenes, and one that he's not in, he's listening at the door, and the other is he's being talked about. So he really never leaves our audience orbit. He's always present. And so to find an actor capable of this huge range of emotions that he has to go through, from being put in a new environment where he's heartbroken, where he's uplifted, where he misses his mother, where he's angry, there's palettes of colors, and within those palettes of colors, the nuancing that he has to, because it's a 92-minute movie, and he's in it for really most of that. So you need an actor of immeasurable stamina. We had 22 days to shoot the movie, and in being in every scene, this actor needed to be ready, camera ready, ideas ready. And Alex, when I first met him, when he came into the audition room, I flew to England to audition some guys in England, and as he walked into the room and apologized for not knowing any of the lines for his audition because he'd been busy learning his play, we sat down and he just read to, just like I was a character. And I knew that we had a synergy together that was going to work, because it was important that we both had a rapport, and we got on terrifically well. And I'm still in touch with him on a pretty frequent basis. I love Alex very much, and I owe him a great deal. I think his Billy is sublime.
I agree. He does amazing in the movie, so entertaining. But he expresses himself very visually. The costumes in the movie are spectacular.
Thank you.
You've worked with some amazing costume designers on this movie. Could you talk more about that? Because I guess his visual representation was a very important way to show his character.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky in that one of my closest friends in the world is the costume designer, Colleen Atwood. And my other closest friend, who I've had Christmas with every year for 22 years, is Milena Canonero, who's receiving the Golden Bear Lifetime Achievement Award here. So it's not bad having two great girlfriends who are the best costume designers. So Colleen and I talked, she wasn't fully available, and so Sarah Lux was our second costume designer, who I think did a really great job of Billy's everyday looks, and they worked together really well. And Sarah has worked with Madonna a lot, and she has a very theatrical eye and works in theatre, and I thought she did a really great job. And of course, Billy's frocks and costumes they're very important to him until he discovers who he really is and that he can find himself. And so I think in our story what we see is the more bedecked and the more bowed and glittered he is, the less, whilst he's enjoying the flamboyance of that and feeling that that's him, when he starts to be accepted in his environment, he dresses in a very original, great way, but it's less superficial and it's more organically who Billy is. And I think that both costume designers were able to make those transitions really well. Like the Billy that we see at the end, you feel that he's found peace with himself, and there's a serenity that comes from his eyes.
Speaking of the visual aspect of your movie, the pictures are beautiful. You're director of photography, the amazing Dante. How did it happen that he agreed to work with you? Are you close friends as well?
Dante and I, when I was an actress and doing a movie in 1987 in Cinecittà, was a very odd movie called Fair Game about a young woman locked up in an apartment with a deadly mamba snake. And Dante was one of he was a young DP, and I was the only actress on set. There was one actor who worked for 3 days called Greg Henry, and other than that, there was a snake. And so it was a movie very short on actors. So we became really good friends during the shoot. And then one day we had some time behind camera, and he said, Trudie, do you think you'll always be an actress? And I said, oh, I don't know what's ahead. Who knows if we'll always be anything? But I said, I guess one day I would really love to direct. And he said, when that day comes, I will be at your side. And I said, promise? This was in 1987. So when the producers agreed for me to direct Freak Show, I rang Dante, and who lives in Los Angeles, and I said, do you remember in 1987 how you said if I was ever a director that you'd be at my side? He said, yes, I do. I said, did you mean it? So he said, when is it? And he really kindly stepped up, and I think he's done a beautiful job.
No, brilliant. I must say that in the movie, the cast, the producers behind it, the director of photography, the actors, and the score composer are all brilliant. If I'm not mistaken, you were especially trying to get Dan Romer involved in the movie.
I didn't know Dan at all, but he did Beasts of the Southern Wild and Cary Fukunaga's Beasts of No Nation. And I thought that they were both unique pieces of music and how they really fitted those movies brilliantly. And I called Dan and I said, this is a very specific story set in our high school about bullying, and can we talk about it? And we did, and he read the script and he really liked the script. And then we talked about what kind of music. And so we talked about the music being organic to the environment, which is what I think he did so well in Beasts of Southern Wild and No Nation. And so he went out and he bought a school locker, a school desk, and used 3 pairs of his boots and shoes and created this percussive music that we hear all in the school environment. And you really feel the high school through this sort of driving percussive sound that he created for the Grant Academy High School. And I think it works to great effect because it drives the narrative forward, but you also really sense the, like, for Billy being in a hostile environment where he's not accepted, where, you know, through this kind of like percussion, which is sort of like a fast heartbeat, that things can get tense very quickly for him.
Trudie, I wish you every luck with the movie at the festival here. Fingers crossed for the Teddy Awards nomination and also beyond Berlin and the Berlin Film Festival. It's been lovely to talk to you.
It's been lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much, and thanks so much for inviting me for this interview and
Pleasure.
to submit for the Teddy.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Trudie Styler. I'm making my directorial debut here at the Berlinale in the Generation 14 Plus segment of the festival. My movie is called Freak Show, and it's about a genderqueer teen who transfers from a liberal environment in New York to a red state where he gets pretty bullied. And it's his story, how he redresses his detractors.
Yesterday, and I've heard it was very warmly accepted and very well liked. So welcome. How did you enjoy last night?
Last night was a real revelation because it was really the first. I mean, it was the world premiere. It hadn't been seen by the public before. It's only had internal screenings during the making of it. And so to sit there with more than 1,000 people in the room who were really getting it and enjoying it.
After school, I could be me, and this is me.
You look awesome.
Seriously? 4 hours in hair and makeup. I've been preen, plucked, and bustied so tightly that my toes are turning blue and awesome. No. I look Atlantic.
Okay, Atlantastic. Why'd you run away after class today?
I didn't run. I was chased.
You're making progress, right?
By running for homecoming queen.
Billy.
Now, before you say anything, you
And
said...
you're not getting beamed in the head as much anymore.
Am I not? This is crazy. I'm compromising myself for reasons I don't even understand anymore. I need a drink.
Want me to hold your thing?
Shut up!
Hi, Trudie.
Hi.
Welcome to the Berlinale. We're
Thank
really
you.
happy to have you here.
Thanks for inviting
You
me.
are here with the world premiere of your first directorial debut, feature film, Freak Show. The world premiere took place